Look, I am an epic failure, an expert failure, and I've been meaning to have a conversation with you guys about this, and I've been putting this off, but I feel like today is finally the day to bite the bullet and just do it. So here we go. Good morning, Toby dog. How's it going, buddy boy? Hey, buddy boy, how's it going? You are all wet and muddy. What were you doing last night? All right, let's go greet the day. Come on. Good. How are you guys doing, huh? Did you guys have a good night, huh? Good morning, Alexander Hamilton. There's a million things you haven't done.
Just you wait, just you wait.
Let loose the goose! Release the kraken! So I'm just out here doing a quick head count and check in on my geese, and I feel like I'm missing one. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 there. And then I saw Justin Finch Fletchley and his lady over here hanging out. So that means I probably have one creeping here in the goose house. Oh, yep. For the last couple days, this lady keeps trying to get broody on me. She's pretty easy to chase away. Ooh, got one egg right here. Look at that thing. It's awesome, isn't it? I've been averaging about 5 or 6 goose eggs a day. Usually I'll get 1 or 2 overnight, and then a handful will trickle in over the course of the day. At this point in the season, we're now starting to hatch every single goose egg that we get. So you guys will probably notice on our website that we're no longer selling them. That's because for us, there's certain times of the year that we do different things with the goose egg. So at the beginning of the season, like from February through the end of March, we're usually very focused on selling hatching eggs because it's a good way to get rid of the eggs that we have here on the farm. It's usually too early in the year for me to want to start the incubation process. If I start the incubation process too early, I'm going to end up with too many goslings at the cold time of year, and it's really tough to raise goslings when the weather's still like in the teens at night. And so to make sure that I'm really raising my goslings at the optimal time of the year, I wait. And so I don't want those goose eggs to go to waste. And given the market for goose hatching eggs, it's really good for us to be able to sell them online. But now that we're in April, it's like full on, I am loading the incubator once a week with eggs. I'll probably end up making a video for you guys all about my process for hatching, but it's like a steady stream of hatching eggs going in. Very soon, I'm gonna actually start to have a new batch of goslings every week for several weeks. And then once the goose egg laying season ends, I'll be done with raising goslings for the year, and it's just gonna be a matter of growing out the rest of the birds I have. I see you there creeping on me. You're annoyed that I took your nest. Oh, there's Bruce the goose and his girlfriend Luce, or Lucy the goosey. As the regular viewers of my channel know, I have been working for years at this point to try to establish this duck pond. I started off by just trying to dig a hole in the ground and hoping for the best. Last fall, I put in a layer of clay to try to seal off the pond. In years past, that area has completely flooded. The first and second years that I was here on the farm, it always flooded in the basin of the pasture. That area was always just complete swampland, completely flooded water. The water would run down the hill and move to the brook that we have just to our south. After I dug the pond last spring, that whole area still filled up, and it was a complete deep pond situation. It was awesome. The ducks were loving it. The problem was eventually all the water just drained out of it, and it was bone dry by the summer. I'd been really banking on this gigantic snow melt to fill up the pond, but it didn't seem to happen this year. And I don't know why. I think from a precipitation collection perspective, I think we were about the same this year as we were last year. So I'm honestly really not sure what happened here. I know that if I want my pond to start off full this spring, I'm gonna have to find another way to do it. And so I'm working on a way to come up with a solution there. But ultimately, I know that this process of failing and trying again is kind of a part of farming. You know, we are in the start of our 4th season here on the farm, and I feel like I've learned a lot over the last 3 seasons, but it seems like each year I keep finding a new way to screw up. And to a certain extent, I'm kind of grateful for that fact. I realize that the more I screw up, the more I learn. And the more I learn, the better farmer I'm gonna be in the long haul. And now that's not to say that these screw-ups aren't frustrating and that these failures don't disappoint me. They absolutely do. But really when it comes down to it, I know that this is a part of the process. And I know that there's a lot of you guys out there watching these videos who are starting with ducks and chickens and geese for the first time, and you're learning things and you're gonna mess things up. And those screw-ups do suck. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that one. But don't beat yourself up too much. You're gonna get better if you work on just trying to learn from your mistakes. And I mean, really, to apply this lesson even more broadly, based on my experience over the last couple of weeks with this whole tractor supply situation, I'm really frustrated with tractor supply. Not so much that they've screwed up. Look, we've all screwed up. I mean, heck, the amount of times I can count that I've killed birds by my negligence or inexperience is startling. But the fact that they're not willing to be open and transparent and honest about it, it really does tell me something about the character of the organization and the values of an organization like that. As an expert failure, I have found that the best thing that you can do is learn from your mistakes and try to grow from them. And when you obscure the facts and you try to cover things up and say that you did everything right, even though you didn't, people are gonna see through that garbage. And ultimately, you're gonna cheat yourself out of a lesson that you could be learning in that situation. Did you guys look at that adorable scene right over there? I don't want to get too close to it and ruin it. It's Pablo and Toby just chilling out and being bros. Let's see how close we can get to it before I interrupt it. Hey, buddy. What are you up to, Pablo? Did you catch something? Huh? Hey. Come on, Toby. Pablo doesn't like that roughhousing, you know that. You know, he's still kicking your butt there, buddy. Okay, guys, I'm not gonna steal your eggs, don't worry. At least I won't steal them yet. I'll let you do your thing and hang out for a bit. So, in case you guys are wondering, so that's Justin Finch Fletchley, who is our male pilgrim gander. And then you have this Emden gal here. She's the goose that I made the mistake on last year, where I thought she was another male pilgrim, like Justin, but it turns out she's a female Emden. And so Justin had kind of a harem last year. These two girls have really stuck and stayed as part of his harem. They're starting to break off and pair off with other ganders in our flock, which is actually good, because I'd rather have him only with 2 gals versus like 5 gals. And what you'll see from a nesting activity perspective is, that gal will lay an egg there. The Emden, she'll probably try to lay an egg there in a little bit too. And then eventually they'll abandon it and I'll be able to get in there and pick up the eggs. So when I tell you I get like a half a dozen eggs a day, this sort of activity happens hour after hour here on the farm. So the good news is it seems like the pond is holding water. You can see the bentonite. A lot of it actually has moved down deeper into the pond. There's certain parts over there that aren't like coated, but the base of it is completely coated. And so it's definitely holding that water pretty well. It's still got a lot of sediment that's got to settle to the bottom. We'll see what it looks like in a couple of months. And like I said, I'm gonna try to figure out another way to bring some water into here to try to at least get it full for a little bit this year. And speaking of you guys who have stayed tuned, I bet you're all wondering how Swan Ronson, the duck who is like Ron Swanson's sister, her original name was Puddles, is. And I wanted to give you an update, but I can't quite find the ducks right now. I don't know, can you guys spot them? As you guys saw this morning, I definitely let them out, but I don't quite know where they are right now. Let me take a look. They have been really enjoying going deeper into the permaculture orchard lately. And I think I spotted them. Yeah, I've noticed lately they keep coming out back here during the day. Like every time I let them out, they seem to make like a beeline to get as far back here as possible. Part of it is we have these little channels that have been forming in our swales that we dug a couple of years ago. So it's pretty cool to see that. I think the other part is they just find it's nice fresh turf to find insects and other interesting Edie's. I don't know if Edie's is the word. Yummies, I don't know. Like most of the swales have started to drain, but like you got some of them like this one that are still in existence. What do you think, Toby? Again, we have a year-round brook that sits just to our south, and so that's where a lot of this water will drain off to. But I try to trap as much of it as I can in these swales. You know, I'll tell you, this permaculture orchard is another place that I have failed a lot and learned a lot on. Like you see some trees like this black locust or this chestnut that are just doing awesome. Another black locust that's looking great. This chestnut looks like it's doing okay, but it's not doing nearly as good as that chestnut over there or this chestnut over here. Look at that one. When it comes down to it with the farm, it's so much a combination of successes and failures. Like you draw stuff up on paper, you get advice from experts, you do research, and then you give it your best shot, and you're gonna find it still doesn't work perfectly. And so you gotta be ready to fail and make adjustments. And knowing that every spring you're gonna have to go out there and fix things like tree tubes that have fallen over, that's all in the game. That's part of what farming is. But yeah, our ducks like to come up here and hang out because, look, it's just like little duck channels. This part of how I designed this whole place was I wanted to have ducks working out back here, weeding and taking care of the insect problems and helping our trees. And I wanted to be able to capture water here to be able to provide water for the trees and water for the ducks. And even at the time as I was designing it, I wasn't even thinking about the geese. So it's a very cool thing to me. Of course, it does have its own failures beyond dead trees. Like, for example, Toby, what'd you find there? Oh boy. Ducks are notorious for leaving their eggs all over the place. And then so one of the challenges of having your ducks come all the way out here is you gotta find new ways to keep them laying in the same spot. I'll feed this one to Toby Dog later. But honestly, that's one of the things I love most about farming is screwing up or having these problems that you then have to go out and try to solve and come up with better solutions. Like when I made the plan to have this thing, I never contemplated having a guard dog. But after screwing some things up with predators here on our farm, I realized how important the guard dog is if I want to let ducks run free in a place like this. And then speaking of free-ranging ducks, here they are. See, our flock is pretty much coalesced into one happy bunch of ducks. Some of these ducks are about 3 years old now. So, for example, that gal with the blue leg band, second one right there, she's over 3 years old. Or she's about 3 years old, I should say. Jemima's our oldest duck. She was a hand-me-down. You've got some of those drakes, like you've got Sirius Quack or Yojo or Quacky Chan. And then you even have Puddles or Swan Ronson, as I like to call her. She's definitely integrated into the flock. She's nice and happy now. I actually think all of our ducks are nice and happy now. It's pretty cool to see. Oh, Jemima. Slow old Jemima. You see something? Huh? Yeah, it's one of the cool things about Toby Dog. He can see and smell things that I'm not paying attention to. Alright, I'm gonna let you stay out here because you're working. I don't want to interrupt that. Alright, let's see what we got for eggs this morning. So this is pretty cool. Check this out. More Cayuga eggs. We have 3 different breeds mixed in here on our farm. We have khaki Campbells, which are the brown ducks. They are very prolific egg layers. We have Jemima puddle duck, who's a Pekin duck, which is a big white duck that's dual purpose, but mainly used for meat. And then we have the Cayuga duck. And the Cayuga duck lays these beautiful eggs. The other day I picked up some eggs and they were black, like dark black. It was crazy. Today, this egg is really more of a gray. I mean, to give you like a basis of comparison, this is like what a white khaki Campbell egg looks like versus a gray Cayuga egg. Each season when the Cayuga duck starts to lay their eggs, they start out like pitch black, like a void egg in Stardew Valley.
And there's a void egg. That's really expensive for a void egg, but I do have the money for it.
And I think the older the duck gets, the lighter the egg gets more quickly. It's just like a pigment that shows up on the bloom of the egg. So if you actually notice, like parts of this egg are even scratched a little bit, and you can see that there's like white underneath it. If you crack a Cayuga egg open, it's pretty much the same thing as any other duck egg. At this point, we have 3, maybe 4 ducks that will lay eggs like this. Thanks for watching this video, guys. I gotta go feed the barn cats. I'll see you in the next one. Come on, Pablo. Let's go, buddy.